Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Monday Reset. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. And in Wisconsin and Minnesota, the areas that I cover, our snow is melting. We had a 70-degree day. So anyway, spring is here. Spring market's heating up. All right, so we're going to give it a minute or two to wait for some people to hop in here. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. So ghosting. What is ghosting? Why does it happen? How to stop it? So anyway, we're going to start by talking about the mindset around people. So, as you all know, I've been in the real estate business for almost 20 years now, and over the course of the years, this is something we talked about a lot on my team, is the leads. There's all this question around like where the lead came from, the quality of the lead, how likely are they to transact, like. There was one point in my real estate career where I almost basically went into my CRM and removed the tag on where the lead came from, because I felt like there was this sort of mindset around, if the lead was a Zillow lead, it was crap. If the lead was from Referral Exchange, it was crap. If the lead was not from like my sphere or somebody who knew me, my agents were like, this lead is crap. And so anyway, I just want to talk for a minute about the mindset around a lead. And the leads are actually people. And I feel like there's so many opportunities to build relationships with them if you treat them in the right way from the beginning. So our mindset is around the lead is a potential buyer or a seller or someone who you could actually transact with, right? Okay, that's technically what a lead is. But a lead is a person, just like me, just like you. They go to work every day, they have families, they have lives, and when you start out thinking about them as a lead, it's just going to make you think about them in a different way. So today, what I want to challenge you most on is thinking about the leads in a different way. Thinking about it as a person instead of just a lead, okay? Because it's going to change your whole mindset around how you interact with them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So sometimes we think that they're rejecting us. The leads are rejecting us. Most of the time they're not. They're just avoiding making a decision. So people don't actually ghost you. They avoid a decision. And so you think, oh, this lead doesn't want to talk to me, or, they don't want to work with me, or it's really, for whatever reason, we tell ourselves the story that the lead just doesn't want to interact with us. Like, it's not that they don't like us. It's usually that they're just avoiding making a decision. They just don't want to make a decision. So they could be overwhelmed. They could not be ready. Maybe they don't understand what the next step is. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. They don't want to feel pressured. I mean, that a lot of times that's it. So silence usually means hesitation, not rejection. So that's what I want you to, just keep aware of that. Silence isn't rejection. It's just hesitation, or maybe they're not ready now. So it could even be confusion. Maybe they're still confused. So if a buyer says, they want to look at homes and then they disappear, it's not necessarily that they don't like you or they don't want to work with you as an agent. It could be that it feels like a big step to them and they're just not ready. So, if people ghost you a lot, so this is the thing that we have to remember. If people ghost you a lot, and it's happening a lot for you, It usually means it's a leadership issue. If you don't lead the conversation that you're having with them, the conversation will die. So I want you to keep that in mind. Most agents, they answer questions, they send info, and then they wait. And they never really guide the person. So what I mean by guiding is not saying to them, well, let me know what you think, because like anyone can do that. You're waiting for them to respond and you're saying, let me know what you think, whatever. You're waiting for a response from them. The leadership way to lead the conversation would be, hey, Nicole, let's do this. I'll check in with you Thursday after you've had time to look things over. Does that sound good? Now, Nicole either has to say yes or no. Usually she's going to say yes if she has more questions. She might just say that she has more questions. But if you don't set the next step, then the conversation dies. So when you're following up with a lead, you have to direct the conversation in a way that you're setting the expectation of what the next step is. Because you don't ever want anyone hanging up from a conversation wondering what the next step's going to be, right? So if you set that expectation to be like, here's how I taught my team back in the day. Like, here's what's happening next. You always end the conversation with the words, here's what's happening next. They never have to wonder what the next step is. I always thought about it this way. If my clients need to reach out to me because they have a question, then I'm not doing my job. Like, I'm not doing my job as an agent because they had to call me because they were wondering what the next step was. Clearly, I wasn't educating them in a way that made them know what that next step was. So that can get a little complicated. So the other thing could be that you made it easy for them to ignore you. When your leads are ghosting you, you have to kind of look in the mirror and be like, okay, am I making it easy for them to ignore me? Because if your message is like every other agent out there, it's going to get ignored. So, examples, agents will send emails. Hey, I'm just checking in. Let me know if you need anything. I'm just following up. Instead, keep in mind, these guys are human. So it could be, hey, Nicole, I saw a home pop up that reminded me of what you liked on Oak Street, on that property you liked on Oak Street. And it made me think of you. Do you want me to send it over? So the other thing I want to talk about is the pattern interrupt. So a pattern interrupt is something that's going to interrupt the pattern of what they've been seeing from you. And let me describe it to you this way. I have a house in Florida and I live in Wisconsin. At the time I bought my house in Florida, I don't know, 5 years ago or whatever, 6 years, I guess now. I was thinking about buying more. So my agent just has me set up on this auto search from Cape Coral so that I can see what properties are available. Well, at some point, I stopped even opening the emails because, I wasn't in the right timing. I was kind of like, I don't know, things aren't working out like I thought. I don't know if I'd even want to buy another one in Florida, to be quite honest. That's a whole nother story. But at some point, they became what I call white noise. And white noise is something that happens so frequently that you eventually end up stop paying attention to it. And it's kind of like a person that lives next to a railroad track. The person that lives there after a year, they don't even hear it anymore. But if I spend the night there, it's all I hear. That's the pattern, right? It becomes white noise. You stop paying attention to it. So if I have Nicole, and I'm picking on you, Nicole, because you're the only one right now I can see you're watching, but if Nicole is set up on a search and she is getting listings daily from my MLS that just say, Jill McNamee sent you, a listing, Jill McNamee sent you a listing, whatever. Eventually, depending on what's happening in her life, that might become white noise. Like, She might be uncomfortable and not wanting to move forward and make a decision. Maybe she's scared. Maybe, something's happening with her family. Maybe she's just busy at work. We don't know what is happening for them behind the scenes, right? And when we keep sending them the same MLS listings over and over and over, you never interrupt the pattern. So by doing this and reaching out and saying, hey, Nicole, here's a property that reminded me of that one on Oak Street that you loved, send that email from a different account. Don't send it from the MLS. Send her a text message, send her a DM on social media, or just send it through a Gmail account, because that's what's going to interrupt that pattern of all of those listings she's getting from the MLS. Okay, so that's what a pattern interrupt is. It's something that interrupts the pattern that they've gotten used to and the way that you speak to them. Okay. The other thing is you could call her and you could say, hey, Nicole, quick question. Are you still thinking about making a move this year, or has that shifted a bit? So again, you're reaching out, you're asking the question. You're not saying, hey, I'm just checking in. Hey, let me know if you need anything. Hey, I'm just following up. It's quick question. Are you still thinking about making a move this year, or has something changed? That's an actual conversation. So specific beats generic every single time. So make sure that when you're reaching out, you're being very specific about, maybe it's about a property or their timing and when they were thinking about selling. So the other reason that people could be ghosting you is that you didn't build enough of a relationship with them. So remember, I'm the poster child for human first, realtor second. That's my tagline. You show up as a human first, always, realtor second. That's the order. It should always be happening, right? So if you didn't build enough of a relationship with them, you might be showing up as the realtor first and the human second. And that's just not the way I think we should be doing it. People do not ghost people they feel connected to. If people feel a connection to me, they're not going to ghost me. They're going to respond. They ghost transactions, not humans that they have a connection with. This is why it's so important to show up as that human first, realtor second, so that they feel like they have a relationship with you, because once that relationship has been established, they're going to feel more weird if they ghost you and they don't respond to you. So, all right. So the human first approach is asking about their life, remembering the details, referencing past conversations. That's a super easy one. And this is where your CRM can be super important. Every single person that I have in my CRM, I can scroll back through my notes and know exactly what was discussed on the last time I spoke with them, whether it was a DM on social media, a text message, email, or maybe a phone conversation. There's going to be a record of it inside my CRM. So that's what's important, because if I have a conversation with them once and then I want to go back and call them, I'm going to want to reference something that we talked about in our last conversation. So that's a really important piece of it. It could be maybe I knew that Julie, maybe I knew her daughter was having a dance competition this weekend. So the conversation might be me calling, oh, hey, Julie, how's it going? It's Jill. Hey, how'd your daughter's dance competition go last weekend? So you're reverting back to something personal that happened in their life before you're bringing up the real estate conversation. That is what is going to connect you to them as a human being, not just a transaction, right? You're remembering about something personal that's happening in their life. Then later on in the conversation, you can say, hey, Julie, last time we talked, you mentioned possibly needing more space. Are you still thinking about that? Again, you're still bringing up the real estate. However, you're showing up as a human first and connecting with her and just asking her something about life before you get into the real estate conversation, right? All right. So connection is what creates the conversation. So again, if you're calling and you're like, oh, hey, Julie, it's Jill. I'm just calling to follow up. There's no connection there. There's no connection that's going to create the conversation. There's nothing to talk about. If I'm just calling to ask her if, she's still thinking about selling, like, there's no conversation happening there. It's just me asking her a question and her saying yes or no. So the conversation is just going to be a lot different when you connect with them on a more personal level. All right. So another reason agents get ghosted is your follow-up is too weak, or basically worse yet, it could be non-existent. Most agents follow up once, twice, then disappear. You're not being annoying by following up. You're just being inconsistent. You're just inconsistent, right? So your follow-up, if it's consistent, I will never forget this. One time, this was probably about 10 years ago. So if you've been following me for a while, my adult son, Zach, is my business partner. He's been with me for, 16 years now. We've worked together, and he's a beast on the phone. He loves cold calling. He loves calling. It's just making follow-up calls, right? He doesn't like calling his sphere though, which is really kind of weird. Anyhow, one lady, one time, he had been calling her and leaving messages on her voicemail for the last 24 months, 2 years. She never responded, never emailed back, never called us back, never nothing. Zach would just call and leave the same message every single month, solid, for 2 years. So when she was ready, she finally called me, and I don't know why she called me. She just ended up getting my phone number instead. And she goes, I cannot even believe the consistency of you guys' follow-up plan. She said, the reason I'm calling you today is, she goes, Zach has left me a message on my voicemail once a month for the last 2 years and never missed a month. And so she was just very for her, it was kind of funny. We laughed about it because she literally was like, oh my God, you guys are so consistent. I would have never called anyone else. But here's the thing. If I'm telling myself a story, or if Zach was telling himself a story that, oh, this woman's never gonna transact, she doesn't want to work with me, she worked with someone else, whatever, and he stopped calling her after 3 months, someone else would have got that deal. And so anyway, of course, we ended up working together. We sold her house for her and everything was great. She's a perfectly happy past client. But it's the lesson that goes to show you that, if your follow-up is weak and you're telling yourself the story where, oh, I'm calling this person and they're not calling me back, it could mean a variety of things. It could mean they're not ready. It could mean they're busy at work. It could be there was a death in the family. It could be anything. So we just have to stop making stories up in our head about what's going on in their world, because it's not necessarily that they don't like you or they don't want to work with you. It could just be that they're not ready to buy yet, or maybe they're confused, or maybe they're terrified to take the next step, especially if it's a first time home buyer. So most agents follow up once, maybe twice, then they're gone. And in reality, people are busy, they forget, they just get distracted. And, one of the things that you can say to them is, hey, I know life gets busy. I just wanted to circle back. Is home ownership still something that you're thinking about, or has something changed? And, when you say, or has something changed, you're kind of offering them that out to say, yeah, maybe something has changed. Maybe they're not ready to buy right now. And I always say too, it's totally okay if now is not the right time. I just didn't want to drop the ball on my end. That is my favorite line. Totally okay if now is not the right time. I just didn't want to drop the ball on my end. It kind of shows them that the reason you're reaching out so often is because you're scared of being the one that dropped the ball. Because none of us want to be remembered as the agent that didn't follow up, right? Confidence in the follow-up, it builds trust. Like the lady that Zach called for 2 years straight. It's like he was building trust over time, and she just kept ignoring him for 2 years. And it's like, yep, they called when they were ready. So, all right, so what I want you to think about is what to do this week. So I want to try to leave you with some action items to actually, like these trainings do no good if you don't know what to do when you hang up or you get off Facebook, right? You're going to get off Facebook, you're going to go about your day, and I don't want you doing nothing. Like training, like my coach used to tell me, if you're not going to implement what we're talking about, then your coaching is just really expensive entertainment. And, this coach I actually happen to be paying $1,500 a month to. So it's like, again, if you're going to invest the time to sit here, let's give you something to actually work on this week. So what I want you to do this week is pick 5 people who've ghosted you. Just look through your CRM. There's going to be tons of them in there. And these are most likely, they're not going to be your sphere. They're going to be people like you've met at an open house, or they're going to be what we would call the lead again, but not necessarily thinking of them as a lead, thinking of them as a human being, but they're not necessarily people that know you, like you, trust you yet, because you haven't built that trust with them. So pick 5 of them this week and then reach out. But you're not going to reach out and you're not going to say just checking in. You're going to say this instead. Hey, you popped into my head today. I'm just curious. Are you still thinking about making a move, or has that shifted? That's all you have to say. And, you can do it via text or private message on Facebook, anything like that if you want. So here's another trick I want to tell you about Facebook. I know this isn't a Facebook training. That wasn't my topic for today, but what I love about social media, it could be Facebook, could be Instagram, whatever. If I meet a lead, the first thing I do is try to find them on social media. Because a lot of times, think of it this way. Someone might be nervous to talk to you on the phone because maybe they aren't ready, or maybe they're worried that you're going to call them every 5 minutes or whatever. For whatever reason, they might not be picking up your call. But if I can send them a Facebook message or connect with them on Facebook, it's that surface level connection that brings you to I think of it this way, like meeting someone is like the funnel. I always talk about the funnel. When you first meet them, you're dropping them in the funnel. The goal is to take them from the top of the funnel where they come out the bottom as a transaction, right? So you're putting the human in the funnel. Well, if you call them and they're not responding, try to search for them on social media and send them a friend request or follow them or whatever, and then start commenting on some of their posts, or maybe send them a private message on social media. Because here's the other thing. When you interact with someone you don't know on social media, you're making like little deposits into the relationship account, as I would call it. Every little touch that you do is going to move you farther and farther and farther toward the bottom of that funnel where they're going to come out a lead. Okay, so here's a prime example of this. I got a listing. It's a little cabin. It's literally a glorified shed. It has no running water, no indoor bathroom, no bedroom. It's just one room, but it's super cute. They fixed it up really cute, and it's up north. It's $219,000, and it has a lot of negative features. No bedroom, no bathroom, like no running water. Those are a lot of negative features. So I created a 30-second reel for this cabin, and here's how I did it, because this is like something you should pay attention to because it just changed my world. The photos have not been taken yet because we still have snow here. The seller's like, I want to wait to do the professional photography once the snow melts, but I still want to get on the market now. So she sent me these terrible images that weren't great from her iPhone. It was the best she had. And I'm like, sure, I can use that. I'll just, create a little video with that. So I'm creating the video. I went to ChatGPT. I put all the images that she sent me into Chat. And I told Chat, I said, this is a sort of a unicorn listing. It's a little one-room glorified shed on a lake up north. It has no running water, no bedroom, no bathroom. There's a lot of negative features. But here are the positive features. It already has a well drilled. It's on the water. The dock comes with it. There is hookup for 3 RVs on the lot that we're selling with the cabin. So it had some positives and it also had those negatives. I asked Chat, I need to put together a 30-second reel. Like, how do I do this and make this the best interacting reel that I can get? Chat literally gave me step by step by step. Use this image first and put these words with it on the screen. Use this image second, put these words on the screen. Use this image third. It went through all 9 of the photos. It told me exactly what order to put them in and what words to put on the screen. And it told me to address the no bedroom, no bathroom situation head on. And it said, when you call out the negative features, it builds trust with your viewers. So when you're talking about and trying to sell a property online, by telling them the negative of the property, it's like, oh, she's not trying to pull a fast one. She actually is someone I can trust. Okay, so here's what happened. This is why I'm telling you this story. I got last night, I posted it about 5 o'clock last night. I went to bed at 9:30. By 9:30, I already had like 1,500 views on it. And I had 10 people commenting, asking, or sending me private message for more information. Because I purposely did not put the price or the link to the listing. Because I wanted people to interact with the video and I wanted people to have to raise their hand and ask me for more information or the price. So before I went to bed last night, I sent 10 emails. 4 of the 10 people, I only knew them on Facebook. I didn't have their emails or their phone numbers. So guess what? Before I could send them the MLS link, I had to ask them for their email address. They wanted the information. So the minute I private messaged asking them for their information, they all gave me their email addresses. So here's what I told Zach after. We were talking about it this morning and I said, here's the deal. None of those 10 people are going to buy that little shack because it is overpriced. It is overpriced a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I took an overpriced listing. It should probably sell for around like 180 and we're at 219. So I'm hoping they'll want to reduce the price. But what it did do for me, 10 people that I have emails for, some of them are people in my sphere, they raised their hand and they said, I'm looking for a little lake cottage. So as I said before, when you're posting your listings on social in the hopes of, technically you're posting them because you want to get them sold, right? But at the same time, these 10 people raised their hand and revealed themselves to me by saying, I want more information on this, or maybe they tag their husband or whatever. So it's, again, the property might not sell because of my video. And of course now my video after I went to sleep and woke up this morning, I think I'm at about 4,000 views. I don't know. The property might sell because of my video. But what it did do is it's identifying leads for me that I didn't know were looking for a cabin. So now I have an opportunity to follow up with those people and nurture my relationship with them, because I know down the road they're going to be looking for a lake home in Wisconsin. So anyway, that was, like I said, totally off topic, but I wanted to talk to you about that, because before I posted that video, I didn't know those people were even considering buying a property up north. So it was great that they revealed themselves to me. So, all right, so we're going to talk about real life application and how you use this in real life. So going forward, every conversation you have with a potential client or a client ends with the next step. You're always going to say the words, here's what's going to happen next. Because you don't ever, whether they're a lead or a past client or a current client, you never want them wondering what the next step is going to be. Like I said, if a client especially calls my office and has a question about something, to me that means I'm not doing my job in informing them on what the next step should be. So everything you say from now on out, every conversation is going to end with, here's what's happening next. Okay? Examples. I'll check back with you on Friday. Let's reconnect next week after you've had time to think things over. I'll send you a few options tomorrow and we can go from there. Never leave a conversation open-ended, because again, what's the next step? So common mistakes that I see are agents taking it personally, right? Like we all have that, I call that little bitch sitting on my shoulder who's always telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not, whatever. Her name is Wanda. I call her Wanda. I don't know why her name has always been Wanda, but it's not about me. It's definitely not about me. It's not about you. Mistake number 2 is stopping the follow-up too soon because I think that they're not wanting to work with me. No, it just means they have a lot of crap happening in their life right now. Mistake number 3 is being vague and forgettable. So that is the other thing. You don't want to be forgettable. So one of the things that I do, if I go on a listing appointment and it's going to be a 2-step, or maybe they don't sign right away, with the thank you that I send, I don't just send a thank you note. I send they're the little business card chocolates that have my logo engraved in the chocolate bar. They're about this big. And, unfortunately, I can only use them 3 seasons because I'm in Wisconsin, and during summer, you can't mail a chocolate bar. But people love them, and that makes me unforgettable, right? I love the book Unreasonable Hospitality. If you guys have not read that, you should put that on your on your next read. It's creating an experience for people so that they don't forget you. Another really good book on building an experience for your people is called Blue Fishing. If you haven't read that one's a really good one. I should do book reports on those 2 books sometime. Maybe next week I'll consider that. All right, so being vague and forgettable, there's so many agents out there. If you, meet with a buyer or you talk to a buyer, find a way to stand out, to do something different with them that not all agents are doing. Another one that I love is if I'm meeting a buyer for the first time at a property, I will text them ahead of time and say, hey, I'm on my way. I'm looking forward to meeting you today. I'm running by Starbucks. Can I bring you a coffee? So when you send a note like that ahead of time, for one, you're confirming that they're going to show up, especially if this is someone you've only talked to on the phone. Offer to bring them a coffee. Most times they're going to say no, but they're going to leave that text message going, wow, that's different. Like no other agent I've been talking to just offered to bring me a coffee. Do you know what I'm saying? It's find ways like that to make yourself stand out. And there's no reason why you can't send a buyer a thank you note for meeting you. So one of the things that we always do at the first meeting, or even on the phone before we meet with them in person, is go through our buyer consult sheet. And it's basically just a questionnaire where you're getting to know the buyer over the phone, because again, we need to stay safe in the real estate world, right? When you go meet someone you don't know you're meeting, you need to have that filled out. Like, you need to know some stuff about this buyer. And if they're not willing to give you their home address before you meet, you might want to consider not meeting them. But if you have their home address after your first meeting with them, you could send them a thank you note, which is going to make you stand out. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about Power Move. We're going to follow up with 5 ghosted leads today using a real message like the ones we discussed here. Okay. Number 2, we're going to stop sending just checking in forever. We're not sending that anymore. Don't ever say the words, I'm just checking in. Power move number 3, we're going to end every conversation this week with whoever you're talking to with a clear next step. Clarity is power. If they're clear on what the next step is or when they're going to hear from you again, they're going to look forward to hearing from you. Okay. All right. So people ghost when there's no clarity or no connection and basically no leadership. Whether you want to admit it or not, as agents, we're the leader. In every relationship, someone has to be the leader. And if you're not being the leader, your client's being the leader, like, we have to lead the conversation to whatever that next step is, right? So leadership is important here, that we're showing up as a leader. If you fix those 3 things, no clarity, no connection, and no leadership, your conversation is going to stay alive and it's going to move them down the funnel. Okay. All right. So go revive 5 conversations this week. Inside our real estate ramp up, we go deeper into all these conversations. Every single morning on our mastermind, we show up as a group and we talk about relevant stuff that's happening in their businesses. So anyway, I have to throw that in there. I want to invite you to join us with the Insiders program. We're meeting every Wednesday at 1:00 for a group coaching, and then morning mastermind. And some of the things that are coming up in those morning masterminds, you guys, are just like incredible discussions that we're having. So if you want more information on that, comment below after the live and I will fill you in on that. Let me just go in and see if there's any questions you guys have about what we talked about today. And then too, if you guys have specific topics that you want me to speak on, let me know. I mean, I have all my topics ready for the entire year, but I want to talk about relevant stuff. So, okay. So, Rochelle wants the names of the 2 books. Yep. So Unreasonable Hospitality. That was actually written by a chef who owns a restaurant in New York, I think, New York or Chicago. He owned the #1 restaurant in like I said, it was either New York or Chicago, but Will Guiardia, Guiardia or something like that. It's a yellow book, Unreasonable Hospitality. The other book is written by Steve Sims. It's honestly one of my favorite books that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of books. It's called Blue Fishing, and it's by Steve Sims. So, here's the other great thing about books now, and I haven't actually tried it yet, but you could actually ask Chat to give you the important high points of the book. So if you don't have time to read, but you want all the high points, like I'm reading Rory Vaden's Wealthy and Well Known right now. It's a book about branding, and it's not specific to realtors, but it's turning out to be one of my favorites as well. But I was thinking about that this morning when I was reading, and I ran out of time, and I'm like, oh, dang, I need to get dressed and go to work. And I was thinking, I wonder how that would work out if I just, asked Chat to give me a summary of all the high points of the book. So, all right. Yes, I did mention Endless Referrals. So Endless Referrals was one that when I got my license in 2008, like I left like real estate school and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Like, how am I going to meet people? What's the next step? How do I get a listing? And I don't even remember who referred me or mentioned Endless Referrals to me, but that was the very first business book I ever read when I was in real estate, and it's been a favorite of mine. And it's kind of built on the premise of the coffee appointment, and you guys know how I feel about the coffee appointment. I built my business one client at a time through coffee appointments and my St. Croix Valley Girls Networking. So yeah, I'm all about the coffee appointment. Like I always tell people, you know, being a realtor is the most amazing job in the world because it's like one big, long coffee appointment, right? And I love to drink coffee and I love connecting with people. Like that's the part of real estate that I love, you know? So anyway, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, you guys. And I will see you around the group or I'll see you next week. Like I said, if you have topics you want me to cover, do a post in the group and let's get a thread going so everyone can chime in and I'll hear what you guys are looking for. So, all right, have a fantastic rest of the day.